Welcome to Madlit Musings, the podcast where you get to eavesdrop on your favorite authors without getting caught. I've been stoked to have authors like Angela Hunt, Bill Myers, Nicole Deese, Tessa Afshar, comedian Bob Smiley, and more on the show, and this year I have another great lineup of storytellers and truth-sayers. If you love to eavesdrop at coffee shops like I do, this is the podcast for you. It's where we get real, we get tough, we laugh, and we might even cry. It's where we meet authors on a different level, where every story and podcast episode has its own heartbeat. So hang out with me today. I'm Jaime Wright, your host at Madlit Musings. This is your podcast for real chats with real authors about real life. Today's episode was brought to you by Baker Publishing Group, with Ravel and Bethany House Publishing as divisions. We're super excited to be sponsored by Baker Publishing Group and to bring you their fabulous authors and their fabulous lineup for 2025. Be sure to check them out at bakerpublishinggroup.com and also check out their online bookstore at bakerbookhouse.com. Hi everyone, it is Jaime Wright here at Madlit Musings, and I have back with me today one of my favorite guests. I have Anne Gabhart with me today. Hi, Anne.
Hi, Jaime. It's so good to be back with you again at Madlit.
It is. It's fun to chat about your books, and I'm actually really excited about this one because just before we came on and hit record, I told you that I got approved on NetGalley to read an early copy. So that's already loaded on my Kindle, and I'm very excited.
Oh, wonderful. Yay. Yay.
So if you want, you can lift up because you have the actual copy, but the book
did.
yes.
I got a copy just yesterday afternoon with my first copy.
Isn't that
It's got
fun?
words in it and everything.
I know. It's always fun when you get that first copy and you see the words, you're like, I did it. I did it.
Oh, not only did I did it, they did it and put it in a book for me.
Yes, they did. They did. Well, the title of the book is The Pursuit of Elena Bradford. And I love the tagline that they kind of start the back cover with. They say, nothing would please her family more than her securing an admirable match, but true love and loyalty are harder to come by than she imagined. So I would love it if you would tell us a little bit about what this story is all about.
Well, Elena is the very first line in the book is Elena Bradford has never met a man who made her want to get married, something like that. I've not got it exactly right.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And then the next line is that when she got older, her mother said she would, and then when she got a little older, her mother said she must. So that's sort of the premise of the book, is that Elena has to find someone to marry, and hopefully, well, not just hopefully, her mother says she must find someone who is wealthy enough to get their family out of a dreadful financial situation, because Elena's father has died suddenly of a heart attack.
Mm-hmm.
And it turns out he had made a lot of bad loans, taken in a lot of bad loans. They're deeply in debt, and with no way to get out. And she, as the oldest daughter, and she's unmarried, and she's 22, I think, old enough to be married. And so Mom says, all right, Elena, I can't get married because I've got to do my widow stuff.
Right.
Because you can't get married right after your husband dies 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, that's a little
and
unseemly.
It's up to you, and you've got to do this for your family. And so they go to a place called Graham Springs. It's a real historical place that is not far from where I live in Kentucky.
Okay.
In the 1800s, it was considered the Saratoga of the West. It was a place to go and take the waters. So it was a beautiful resort area with a 4-story hotel. They could hold 1,000 guests, I think. They had all kinds of entertainments on there, and not every night, but most every night they would have a grand ball. And the ladies would go and dress up, and there was always more men than ladies, so they had no end of dancing partners. So Elena has no end of marriage possibilities.
Yes.
But of course, it never goes as smooth as as her mother might wish.
Right.
She she is attracted to a author who has no money at all. I mean, not an author, but an artist who has no money at all.
Well, either way,
Of
it's the same
course, of
situation.
course. Well, and then she also meets another young man who is gotten come there to get over a broken heart.
Hmm.
People take the waters in order to heal all sorts of ailments at that time. They would go and drink the spring water in hopes that it would cure this or that ailment. And so in my book, I have it seeing if it can cure spinsterhood.
Oh, I love that. And so she's drinking water in hopes of cure. It's funny because reading historical novels, but also reading history, spinsterhood was really like a malady. It was something you didn't want to end up with if you were in society, correct?
Oh, that's right. In fact, in the book, I often have her thinking that she's going to end up in a spinster corner in the house of a relative that's just opened the door to her to let her have a place to live because
Yeah,
unmarried ladies in the early 1800s had very little opportunity to make their own way. A few
hmm
did, but
hmm
most were dependent upon a male relative.
right.
So even
Yeah,
though Elena is not real excited about being married, while her father was living, she wasn't really concerned about her
sure.
future because he was very fond of her. She was
Hmm.
his favorite daughter.
Uh-huh.
She's also an artist who likes to
Oh,
paint and
okay.
sketch, and they had a lot of similar likes. He was not
Uh-huh.
an artist, but he loved roses, and she helped him with
Mm,
his rose garden. So
okay.
she wasn't worried till he died. But after he died, spinsterhood began to take a different
Yeah,
turn for her, and
yeah,
but she's still not really excited about getting married just because
right,
the family needs money. She wants to. If she marries, of course, she wants to marry for love,
right,
and
right.
that didn't always happen in the 1800s. So we
Mm-mm.
don't know, is it going to happen for Alina
Mhm.
or not?
Okay, so we have kind of a love triangle here too, because you have the charming artist Kirby Fraser, and then you have, as the book describes it, melancholy Andrew Harper, who has a broken heart. So tell us a little bit about these two heroes in the book per se. Obviously, you can't tell us which one wins her heart, but
Well, Kirby, they meet both of the young men on the stagecoach to
oh,
the Graham Springs, not realizing that they're going to the same place, but
okay,
eventually they find out. And Kirby is one of these hero types and very confident. A ladies' man has no trouble attracting attention from the ladies. In fact, he's made his way through the last few years by painting ladies' portraits.
sure.
He always finds a way to make them beautiful, even if they're not.
Even
He
if they're
finds a
not.
way to he finds a way to put the shadow on there or some way that it is to highlight the best part of
Hmm.
their looks. So
Hmm.
he's done well, and he had a lot of paintings ready to go, and he was going to sell them and go west because he's always wanted to go there and paint all the landscapes out west and not
Sure.
have to worry about making ladies beautiful anymore. But where he was staying at the hotel, there was a fire, and he
Mhm.
lost all his canvases. He
Oh.
lost all his. So now he's down to his not very much money, and he decides to go to Graham Springs to try to find him a rich
Oh no.
person to marry. So he needs a rich Harris to be able to finance his trip out west.
Uh-oh. That's going to be a problem if they're attracted to each other because Lena is looking for a rich man
She
and
doesn't
he's
have
looking.
any money, and he doesn't have any money, and things are not going to go well there.
Oh no.
But then Andrew has shown up because he was supposed to be married.
Hmm.
I made several months prior to this,
Okay.
and on the night or the week before he got married, she runs away with his best man.
Oh, ouch. That hurts.
And so he's sort of gotten sad. And his grandfather, who has a horse farm, who he has lived with
Hmm.
most of his older life, most of his teen years, says, "You go to Graham Springs and you get yourself back together, and
Yeah.
let's
Yeah.
quit this being sad. She wasn't worth you. You didn't need her anyway.
Yeah.
Just go and start doing other things, and you'll feel better."
Yes.
So that's where we are with Andrew.
And what's Andrew's financial status?
Well, his grandfather has a very successful horse
Okay.
farm. He works for his grandfather. He doesn't get a free ride, but
Okay.
he's an exercise rider trainer, helps
Hmm.
his grandfather on the farm, so he's making his way.
Okay.
Uh,
All right.
Eventually, he could perhaps
Mm.
inherit part of the farm.
Yeah.
He's not without money, so he's
Mm.
not like poor Kirby, but he's too depressed to think about marrying.
I have to hand it to you, Anne, because a lot of times in love triangles, when you hear the two men described, you instantly go, oh, I can pretty much already figure out which one she's going to end up with because one of them is kind of like just a little bit not good enough by the description. But you paint both of these like, I want them both to win her heart, and that can't happen.
Well, there is a complication as well.
Oh,
There's an
no.
there's an older gentleman that loves to dance with the ladies, and he's old enough to be probably close to being old enough to be Elena's grandfather.
Okay.
He is very wealthy, has
Uh-oh.
money to spare. Her mother is thinking that perhaps he would be a nice catch for Elena.
Yeah.
He he wouldn't live all that much longer. No,
Right, right, exactly.
so that's a little complication in the story for Elena.
It sounds kind of like a
Yeah,
big
great
complication,
guy.
Anne.
He's a great guy. He just happens to be old.
That was still though, that wasn't uncommon back then for a
Well,
young
no.
woman to marry a much older man, even a grandfatherly type, for those very reasons. It was more of a business transaction, and a lot of times I think the younger wife potentially stroked his ego, and the older man, like you said, was going to die soon, so she'd get rich.
Those men actually live longer than the younger women maybe thought they would.
I know, which is kind of funny when that happens. You're like, ha ha, ha 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 ha.
But Elena is conflicted, of course, because she
Hmm.
wants to do what her mother wants her to do, but she doesn't really want to marry somebody as old as her grandfather.
Can't
So
blame
she
her.
has some struggles there.
Mhm.
Her little sister's there with her. She's 16,
Oh,
and
fun.
she's quite the she's been the pretty one all her life. Elena's
Hmm.
been the older sister, but not quite as beautiful and bubbly
Hmm.
as Ivy. And Ivy's more like Elena's mother, is also beautiful.
Okay.
So, not that Elena's not pretty, but she's never really thought she was very pretty because she's surrounded by these other more beautiful women.
Hmm.
And but she has beautiful eyes,
Ooh.
and Kirby is attracted to her because of her beautiful eyes.
Okay.
And Kirby's attracted to her because she shares some of his same interest in roses
Okay.
and nature and gardens. So,
All right. All right.
and the general just liked young women.
And Andrew, is he just kind of like, my heart's broken, stomp all over it? Or what's his reaction to Elena?
Well, they sort of meet in the gardens, and even though they neither one thinking romance, they are just enjoying watching the sunrise.
Oh,
It's together.
oh.
So,
I am
it's
so conflicted right now. Anne, what have you done to
no, I
me?
didn't really know what was going to happen until it happened.
I was going to say, did you start writing the book knowing exactly who she was going to end up with? Or did you just write
Well,
two really great heroes?
I think as you know when you're writing as well, that things change as you're going along. Sometimes what you think is going to happen, just all of a sudden, it's
Does it?
just not right. It's just got to go some other way, and so
Oh,
I think I was started out one way, and then during this way and that way, everything
yeah,
changed. I mean, the general, I didn't even know he was going to be in the story till they started dancing one night,
that's so fun.
and he was a fun character to write, even if
Yes.
he was older. He was taking the waters, and he got much more lively during the story. So the waters were really helping him.
And so there's
Now, Elena hated the water. She wouldn't drink it.
oh, funny. Oh,
It's
funny.
awful tasting. Have you ever drank that water? Oh, it's
No, I
awful.
haven't. What makes it awful? Is it like sulfur or iron or?
Yeah, it's got a little sulfur taste to
Ugh,
it usually.
yeah.
Most of the springs do.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that's what makes it healthy, I think. But
Well, I
I,
will I will bust out laughing and probably send you an email if I get to the end of the book and find out she ends up with the general.
there you go.
That'll be a twist.
She,
You
he
never
was a
know.
great cow.
You
He
never
was a
know.
great cow.
And Anna's not going to tell us on this
And
podcast
she
because
and she needed the money.
she did.
He's
Problem
very
solved.
he's very rich.
Anne, you are a very devious author. You really are. You have such a nice smile and you're so kind and sweet. And then there's this side of you that's like, ha 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 ha, which man?
I think that's you with your spooky stories.
Well, if your heroine, if Elena were to run off with a ghost at the end of the story,
Oh, there you go.
then we're crossing genres a little
Yeah.
bit.
Actually, the story does sort of have a ghost in it.
Okay, let's talk about that. I didn't know that. What?
Not a real ghost. Well, the spark for my story,
Okay.
I like to write stories about Kentucky history.
Oh yeah.
And so when I'm looking for a new story, I'll sometimes look through things. And actually, I had researched about Graham Springs back when I wrote one of my Shaker books,
Okay.
The Gifting, because I wanted to contrast the simple life of the Shaker village
Yep.
that was in the same county as this Graham Springs, not all that far apart by the way the crows flies.
Okay.
And of course, at the Graham Springs, they're taking baths in rosewater and eating ice cream that they find a way to make back in the early 1800s.
Mm-hmm.
So I had done this research on that area, and I was I'm still entranced with the guy that started it,
Yeah.
Christopher Columbus Graham. He lived to be 104,
Oh my
and he knew
goodness.
everybody. He knew everybody that was important in the late 1700s through the 1800s.
That's
He was
hilarious.
very health centric. He went to Transylvania, which was a university in Kentucky, to become a doctor. He was a soldier. He knew all the explorers.
Oh my
He did
goodness.
he did everything. I mean, he was an amazing man.
Well, and if he
And
lived to
he did
104,
exercise.
yeah, I was gonna
He
say
did exercise.
oh my goodness,
And
he's
so
like
that's the
walking.
reason they
Yeah,
had the dances. That's one reason they had the
I
dances,
love
because he
it.
said you needed the good nutrition, but you also needed exercise. And so he would make sure that the people that came to his resort would try to get them to exercise. But there was also a story about Graham Springs that one year, I think it's 1844, although there's a little, in my book, it's 1844. I won't
Sure.
guarantee that it will be in all historical things
Right.
because
Right.
there's a little iffy on that.
Mm-hmm.
A lady shows up one morning,
Okay.
gives a name. She's there all day. She goes to the dance. She's beautiful, puts on this beautiful dress, goes to the dance,
Mm-hmm.
dances every dance with a different gentleman, which is the way most dances were at that time.
Sure. Yep.
And during the last dance, she dies in her partner's arms.
Oh.
So I, nobody, when they tried to find out about her, she had said she was a judge's daughter from Louisville.
Okay.
The judge had no daughters. So nobody knows who she was. They have never found out who she was. Nobody ever claimed her body. They buried her there at the springs,
And
and because nobody claimed her body, I speeded that up a little in my
oh, right.
story
Yeah.
a
Absolutely.
bit faster.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to wait a week for him to find her or anything,
Mm-mm.
but anyway, we buried her right away.
Yeah.
But anyway, of course, my Elena makes friends with her and spends the day with her. But the people have tried to figure out who she was, but there is still a park in the county next to me that has her grave. They keep it tended. they have a little gravestone. I can't remember exactly the words right now about tread softly here. And
Oh,
there is the rumor that people go there on a moonlit night. They could see a ghost that might be in a beautiful ball dress and ask the way back to the dance. I don't know. I didn't go and try to see the ghost, but I didn't put the ghost exactly in my book. I sort of
that's
made a
okay.
twist on the ghost. I
That's
sort of
okay.
made a little twist on the ghost.
Well, I hope you
So
have spare room because I'm going to, when we're done here, I'm going to get in the car and drive to Kentucky and hang out at your house so I can go sit there at night and watch.
we'll go. We will go at night and see if we see Elena.
Perfect.
Well, let's see. I don't think they ever gave. She did give a name, but I changed her name, and now
Sure.
my
Yeah.
names are all mixed up.
Right.
But
I know how that goes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
in my book, she was somebody different than the name they gave her there. But
That
when they looked at her room, she only had the dress she wore and her ball, the one she wore. She had her ball dress, but only the dress she came in was all that was in her room when they went to try to find out who she was.
and to this day they have no idea. Like there's not even a theory.
There's rumors. There's rumors that she was a Tennessee man's wife
Okay.
who had who had, I guess, run away. But
Sure.
there's a complication with that because there is an envelope that she supposedly has sent back to her husband that was years later than this
Oh,
lady was
sure.
supposed to have died. So
Interesting.
they won't let them dig her up to try the DNA. So it's
Ah,
still a mystery.
this is
It's still
killing
a
me,
mystery.
Anne. This is
Still
killing
a
me.
mystery.
Uh,
So
do
just
they?
go
I
online and
oh,
put
I will.
the da- the dancing lady at Graham Springs, and you'll find all kinds of information.
But I
But that
love.
was my spark
I
of the information.
I was just gonna say I love that you wove her story, even without turning her into a ghost, because that's whatever. But just the story of somebody like that. Now, in your novel, obviously, you probably had a little bit of carte blanche on how she died. Do they know how she died? Like, what makes a person just drop dead at a ball?
They don't know. They never knew. Of course, this was in
Interesting.
the 1840s.
True.
Also, now this is just
Hmm.
speculation here.
Hmm.
I think that Dr. Graham did not really want to explore it too much.
Mm,
I
that makes
don't think
sense.
he did not want to think there was something that might make
Yeah.
other people be afraid to come to his springs.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yes.
there is a rumor that his nephew might have been involved.
Oh.
So, but there was no proof of anything. I sort of went hinted at that in my
Okay.
book, but
Okay.
there's no real proof of anything.
Right, right. So overall, just to clarify for readers who are listening, this is not a mysterious, dark, gothic story with ghosts and murders and vanishing women. But this is a romance, a historical romance where you take elements of that and play off of it, correct?
Well, it's more historical
Historical. Yeah.
romance. It's
Yeah.
more of a romance than a lot of my books, in fact,
Oh,
because you
okay.
do have, as you say, the triangle
Yes.
love story. There is the family problems that she
Hmm.
has, and I do have the history of the Graham Springs, which was interesting
Oh, yeah.
to, and I sort of give a little history of Dr. Graham
Okay.
too, so that I like to sneak a little in there about him since he was such an interesting character.
Yeah.
Uh, but the dancing lady is more or less seen through Elena's eyes,
Okay.
how
Okay.
she friended her, and then
Yeah.
even though it was only for one day,
Hmm.
you see how she related with
Yeah.
this girl that needed a friend
It needed a
at the
friend.
time.
Oh.
So I no, it's not. There's a little mystery then at the end
Yeah.
too,
Yeah.
but not it. It's a little mystery, along a little suspense at the end,
I like
but
that.
that does relate to the lady. But it's
Mhm.
not her story.
Yeah.
It's not. I wish I could remember what I named that girl.
Isn't that funny? Because these books come out and people are like, oh, it's brand new to, and we're like, well, to us, it's like over a year old. So we've already moved on.
Vanessa. I named her Vanessa.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. Well, I guess you
But
can kind of name her whatever you want since just nobody knows what her name was. So,
not her real name. She had a name she gave, but it
sure.
wasn't Vanessa. It
Yeah.
wasn't Vanessa.
Yeah.
But you know, I've got a bunch of new characters running around in my head
hmm
now, so
hmm Yeah.
makes pushes those other characters out so
It
much.
really does. It really does.
It's
So,
embarrassing to go to a book talk, and they'll ask you uh, something about what was this person's name, and you have no idea.
right. I know. Or they ask you something so specific to a scene, and you're like, I don't even remember that scene in my book. So I can't answer that question.
Usually, when I don't know the character's name, somebody in the audience does. So
Oh,
we're all right.
perfect. That helps. Oh, fun. Well, the book obviously is a rush out and grab it book. It comes out May what? May what?
Six,
May
May the
6th.
6th.
All right. So we're coming up pretty quick. It's going to be out.
Not long from
Not
now.
long at all. No. And it's called The Pursuit of Elena Bradford. It's by Anne H. Gabhart, and it's published by Revell Publishing. And it's definitely one everyone's going to want to get. So, and they can get the book anywhere, right? Like Amazon, Baker
Right.
Publishing.
You can get it anywhere. Baker Bookhouse does have a special, you get a little extra treats with it. You get a
Okay.
bookmark and a signed book plate if they still have supplies. So,
Yep. All right.
and of course they have a great deal on the
Yeah,
books with free shipping and a great price. So
they do.
that's a good place to look for books.
It is.
But it's also available on Amazon for pre-order
Mm-hmm.
and other any internet book site.
Mm-hmm.
It's out there everywhere for people to look at.
I love it. I love it. Well, and this is, as always, such a blast to chat. And we have so much fun. I always hate cutting it off, but we probably should say goodbye and let people get on with their day.
We might need to go write a book, huh?
I think so. But thank you so
The
much for,
deadline coming, so
I
I
know,
do need
right,
to write a
right.
book.
Okay, all right, all right. Well, that's the cue. We'll cut off here, but thank you so much for being on the podcast, Anne.
Thank you for having me. Thank
And that's a wrap for today here at Madlet Musings. I hope you join us again. And if you want to, be sure you like and subscribe here at your favorite podcast player or on YouTube, because you won't want to miss all the wonderful alerts that let you know when we have another conversation for you to eavesdrop on.